this girl is coming to LA in I don't know, 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
We're so excited.
What was the temperature today though?
God, that was such an annoying voice I just did.
I loved her. More of her. My favorite is when you go, for me? For me? The weather? What was the damn temperature? I just want to know what to pack.
By the time you get here, it's going to be hot AF.
Okay.
Right now, it's like 70s, which is lovely right now, but in July,
that's
it's
so
going to be like
perfect.
104.
That's all right. I'll bring the dresses.
We're going to do photo shoots. We're going to do content. We're so excited.
I am so freaking stoked. We have just so much to go over, talk about, chat about. I have to tell you really quickly, we started the new book, Nora Goes Off Script by Annabel Monaghan, which
we're obsessed.
I didn't want to put it down. I was so sad. By the way, we decided every week, y'all, we're going to do 5 chapters because it's a 5-week month. So we're going to do chapter 1 through 5 today.
I really wanted to keep reading, and I know that I couldn't.
Too.
I really
did
wanted
too.
to.
It's so good.
Well, and I got to be honest, one book series sometimes give me anxiety because I want a whole series, like I want to keep going.
Yeah.
So when it's done, I get anxiety a little bit sometimes, but oh my God, because I just also feel like maybe I'm used to series where it takes like 2 books for them to get together. So it's like this long drawn out thing with maps
which I can't wait for. So excited.
I had a meeting yesterday with a production company, and I was talking to them about ACOTAR, and I was explaining because one of the gentlemen in the room didn't know anything about it, and the woman in the room knew all about it, but I was trying to explain. I was like, this woman, she like falls in love with it's like a town of fairies.
Here's some man working in production. Like, what? You know.
So I wasn't sure what to talk about. So I'm like, no, sports? No. What about smut, fairy read? Nope, not that. Okay, then you're on your own channel.
You're trying to meet him at every level, but it just wasn't working. Have you seen on Book Talk where they have like bedazzling parties for covers, and it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and I'm like, this is so up our alley. You're a craft queen. I love, clearly, bedazzled, bejeweled, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
we have to do this. We have to do this.
We need to pick, I saw that. Was it Emily? No. Alex Astor that had like a bedazzled book cover on her story.
To die for. It was gorgeous. But I've been seeing these videos everywhere, and people will have little parties and they take their favorite covers and make them just sensational. Because, you know, your bookshelf, it's a place that's gorgeous, that you love, that you want to show off. Like, think about behind you, right? Imagine if one of those little covers was bedazzled and sparkly, and I go,
I don't think you understand. If you were to go downstairs right now to my living room where my craft table is, it's like you open it and there's crafts in it, and it's like it turns into a table so I have more space for my crafts. I'm literally dazzling like a summer thing for the door. Just put on the door right now. So if you were to tell me I can bedazzle a book of mine with like shiny oh my goodness.
We have to do it. I have a question though. When you're bedazzling, is the adhesive already on it, or do you have to dip it in? Because I don't know.
Great question. When you are bedazzling your own thing, which I used to, but I would bedazzle. I would bedazzle
my sidekick, my juicy couture pink sidekick.
Remember, you would bedazzle your phone, and my friends would be like, "This weighs 15. Like, what are you doing?" I have to make diamonds would fall off. I'd be like, "Hey, Dad, what's going on?" Because let's be honest, it was only Mom and Dad calling me in middle school, but or high school, or whenever we got cell phones. But you have to put the adhesive on yourself. If it's like a pre-made thing, then it's like a sticky piece of paper, and you put the gems where they tell you to.
Interesting. You know, maybe 6 months back, I bought this gorgeous phone case from Etsy, and it was like these pear green bedazzled, and I was obsessed, but they kept falling off. And I go, this doesn't look so good now, because some of them were just everywhere. So I was like, how do I get back to that? Because I loved it. I was obsessed. I clearly love sparkles. I can't help myself. But we have to get into that. We have to do it.
We have to do it. That's the thing with bedazzling, though. A couple of those fall off and it looks really trashy. It goes from so cute to trashy really fast. If you lose like 3 gems, it's a wrap. You got to put it
It's
away.
not good. Yeah, you got to pick and choose. But with your books, they don't come off because it's more of
Exactly.
a beautiful piece that you're showcasing rather than a phone that you're just banging.
Exactly.
What is going on, A Novel Bunch? We are so excited to be here today. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. No matter the platform, we love you. We appreciate you. And we've been having so much fun on social media with y'all bunchies, meeting you, chatting with you. So make sure you're following us at A Novel Bunch Podcast on TikTok, Instagram. So today,
You're
chapter
so good.
1 through
I'm
5.
just watching it.
Oh, you stop it. You stop it. I heard Freddie for years going off on it. And I was
Not
I
pretty.
used to have a pod with producer Fred.
Yes. Yeah.
So
It was
yeah,
a great-
he's
I went on and did it, and we talked about drinking water.
we did. I think you came on what, 3 times maybe?
At least, yeah.
Look at us now. Get out of there, PF. We
We
want our romance. We want to chat. But no, I was so excited to see that this is the book everyone chose. And
so
my
good.
gosh, instantly right into it. The way that she writes, though, is so beautiful because she kicks it off by saying, Hollywood's coming today and I'm not going to lose my house.
Relatable. Yeah, may or may not know about actors is that, listen, if you book a show, you get paid beautifully. Although agent gets 10, manager gets 10, lawyer gets 5, business manager gets 5. If you have a publicist, that's another. Like, all your money goes away so fast. But that money has to last you for a long time because you may not book something. I've watched my bank account go like this.
Of course.
Perception that all actors are rich, entitled assholes, and that's not to say that there aren't a few of those fluttering around this town, but for the most part, like her saying Hollywood's coming and I can keep my house is like Hollywood has this really magical way of making your bank account almost go to zero before you book something that's safe.
Isn't that energy so funny? You're like, we're so close, we're so close. Ooh.
Exactly. I relate to this woman.
Oh my gosh, loved it. And we keep hearing about someone named Ben in the beginning, which, ends up being her ex-husband. He is not the nicest.
I texted you. I was like, "Who the hell is Ben? He sounds like an asshole." Literally, page 2. She's like, poor Alyssa, who's so patient with me. She's like, "Hey, that's your ex-husband." I was like, and literally the next my asshole ex-husband. I was like, I couldn't just wait. I had to text you.
No, I love it. I'm obsessed. And then we meet our female main character, who is Nora, and
Love her.
she's a writer, a 39-year-old mother of 2, and Hollywood is filming her movie The Tea House at her real house, which I love, love, love that. She did say she was so excited because she could pay off her real estate taxes with this money that she was getting from it. And she also was saying she had debt from her ex, right? Ben, all this credit
He was a
card debt.
stalker. Yeah, he would like fulfill a hole in his soul with buying stuff, which, okay, sure, but if you don't have a job to balance that out, you're kind of a freeloader.
I mean, a little bit. For 10 years at the very minimum, she was supporting him, which we get into. But I will say she was talking about this house that she lived in, and it was built maybe 100 years ago. And there were a lot of things that were wrong with it, but it's obviously the character in this story, right? The tea house. And Ben hated this house. He never wanted to live outside of the city. She said that she bought this house, I think it was like $300,000, $20K down, which, the dream, right? But what I did love is she said that there were these gorgeous magnolias that were kind of like a bridge that would meet. And so anytime you would leave or come back, you had this beautiful pink, archway that you're driving under. And can you imagine every day you leave just going,
Oh, I can't imagine because my dad's place in Colorado is just so stunning when you drive into his neighborhood that it's just like, God, what a wonderful thing to enjoy every time you go in and out of your house. She's in
Good.
upstate New York, right?
yes, 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 yes. And,
Which I've never been to upstate New York.
You have not. I haven't either.
No, I have. I filmed a movie up there.
You
in
did.
Fishkill. Yeah.
You did. How was it? I've never been.
I filmed in Fishkill. And here's the thing, we filmed in like end of November. Stunning. The leaves, the trees, it's reds and yellows and I mean it's really one of the most beautiful, and I'd take the train from Fishkill down to the city each weekend. But the ride is stunning. You could see West Point College University is on the like hillside. God, it's just so stunning.
Well, Ben, Nora's ex-husband, hated the small town living. He was always just dumping on it. He wanted to live the high life in New York City, which he was spending money kind of like he was. And meanwhile, he wasn't working. Just crazy.
Side note, I can't relate to living off somebody. Well, you really got to bring a lot to the table to not be contributing financially in any capacity. I don't not condone it. Obviously, live whatever, live your life. But man, that would be tough. I can't relate to not.
There's got to be something, because if he were, say, like role reversal of like traditional male-female relationship, and he's like, look, I want to be house husband. I'm taking care of the house, the kids. You do the work. Like if that, I love that. I think that's so cool, and just breaking the barriers. Like everyone's different, right? We all have different things that work. But he seems, what we're learning, he's not like that at all. They met in college, and he was just this very charismatic, very loud, extroverted guy that everyone kind of bowed down to. We're to the point that she's like, oh, wow, I'm lucky that I'm with him. So Ben, her ex-husband, he made a lot of complaints about this gorgeous house that she loved, and she could never shake the feeling that he was actually complaining about her, not the house, which I felt was just, made my heart a little sad. And she says, I ignored him the way you do when you want to stay married. Like that, I mean, amazing. There were so many times that I would read stuff in this book where I go, oh, I love that.
It's so cool to read a book about a 39-year-old, because most book, the heroines of the books are like 18, 19. You're like, first of all, 18, really? So she's like 39. She's a bad bitch, independent, 2 kids, doing it on her own. Like, I'm obsessed.
It's so great to read. So she is finally here at her house. The day has come that she's waiting for production to come and get ready to film these couple. It's like 3 days that they're going to film some scenes from this movie. And they so badly wanted to do these scenes in the tea house because this is such an imperative part of their story, their script, their movie. And so she's waiting for everyone to come, and she's a little nervous, like she's changing her outfit. She actually did her hair. She blew it out, which, shout out, I get it. She said, I did it strand piece by piece. I'm like, only girls with the wavy curly hair get that life. Someone like Molly's like, oh, I just air dried my hair and it's so bad.
It doesn't air dry, but at least it's flat. But I gotta tell you, I just look at your bangs when you talk because they look so good.
I fucking love you. I love you. Thank you. That being said, though, she leaves to go to town to go on non-urgent errands because she's like, you know what? I'm going to dip out. I'll just show back up. I'll be fashionably late. That didn't work. They still weren't there when she returned home. So she's sitting there. She's all anxious.
Everything's late.
Yeah, always. And so the crew finally arrives, and we first meet Wheezy, who is Leo, the big celebrity's assistant. And we also meet Meredith, who's an executive producer. And then comes out Mr. Leo Vance. He's superstar extraordinaire. He's literally like shoeless when he gets out. But he apparently owns a share of an NBA franchise.
Which, let me just, as a sports nerd, do you know how much money you have to have a share of any kind of NBA or NFL franchise?
Don't you gotta be a billionaire?
In this world, Magic Johnson has a share. I'll just say that. In this world, Leo Vance must have 75 brand deals, and Leo Vance must be Leo DiCaprio.
Okay, but she did say he was the biggest superstar in the world, so maybe he's like that big. He's so big time. Brad Pitt. Yes. Yeah. And then they said that he was 40, which I also thought was refreshing because I feel like a lot of the stories that you read, they're always so young. And I was like, oh, okay, I can find. I mean, 40 is still so young, but you know what I'm saying. They can
Right.
generally be 20s. He's
Right. Older
childish.
than what we're used to.
Yeah, yeah, from what we've been digesting. So, childless and most famous for his brooding stare. So, even the narrator, Nora, is always talking about how for every movie, he has a different brooding stare that he gives to people. And
Yeah.
she doesn't seem like she's a major fan of his, just he's so popular that kind of everyone knows of him like
You
a
know,
Brad Pitt.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we all have seen Brad Pitt movies. We all know him. If he was showing up to your house to film something, you'd be like,
But you know what I wouldn't know? That he has a different stare and a different smile for every film. So she's obviously clocking him a little more than she's acknowledging.
okay, so she thinks he's hot. It's fine. We get that. Who doesn't?
She doesn't think Brad Pitt's hot. Except Shania Twain.
That don't impress me much. Go, baby. So when she meets him, though, he decided that he's going to be sleeping outside of her house in his Airstream. That's because they're 90 minutes from New York City, which he said he doesn't stay at a Hilton. And I'm thinking, did you pick up, is he just not staying at a Hilton because he doesn't like certain hotels or he doesn't like bougie places? We kind of learn a little bit later why he's not staying at a hotel, but when you first read this, what were you thinking?
I just thought he was a weird actor.
That clocks out. Yeah. Oh, that's true.
I don't know. I guess that's kind
I
of what
can see that, but I really can see that. And I can see actors doing that. We know the types.
We're weird. We do know the type.
So he's going to be playing Nora's ex-husband, Ben, but we
Right.
learn that his character has a different name. I believe it's Travis.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
their meet cute, Nora says, is not really such a meet cute because he walks up, he brushes past her on the porch and takes a step back and he goes, "You're missing a dimple." And she goes, "The other one's inside." And he just goes right past her inside. And I loved her response. It was my first look into, oh, she's actually witty and fun and smart and not just, like she's like, I know who you are, but I'm
Quick
still
with it.
very quick. And I
She's quick.
love that. I love that. The inner dialogue reading and it's quick. Makes me so happy. So we see the tea house, which her film is based on, and Nora says it's where her writing happens and it's a sacred spot for her. And Ben used to say and refer to the tea house
it,
as
right?
a shed,
Yeah.
which he wanted to just make it storage. And I feel like it kind of stood more for the reason behind their breakup, because that's where she would go to make all of her magic and write and support them for 10 years. And the better she'd do and take care of her family, the more he'd resent her. So
Yeah.
he hated this tea house. She loved this place. And then tell us about the new movie star that comes in who's playing her.
Right. We meet Naomi Sanchez, who's like this hot 32-year-old bad bitch actress that I guess has no pores. She keeps alluding to. Nora's texting her best friend. She's texting her sister. I guess her sister lives like kind of a fancy high life. Nora texts her best friend Kate that all the celebs are at the house, that production has begun. She calls her sister Penny, who, like we said, apparently has like a fancy NYC life, kind of that like Ben wanted.
Yep.
And then we meet Molly, who is the class bitch, the resident asshole of the town.
Sorry.
I know. We also meet. Let me play the psycho. I usually do that on television anyway.
True. You do it damn well, too.
I appreciate you. We meet Arthur, her 10-year-old, maybe theater kid. They've alluded quite a few times that he doesn't have an athletic bone in his body. God bless. And then we meet Bernadette, the 8-year-old daughter, who's the boss of the family. They run into Leo, right? They all get introduced to each other. And Bernadette obviously has starry eyes for this 6'2", like, superstar Hollywood, whatever.
Yep.
And Arthur's a little more hesitant. But Ben, we're told it's only been like a year since Ben left, right? So
Correct.
Arthur's having a little whiplash without Dad, and this new man is, in the house, and it probably feels a little bit weird.
It was interesting too, because when she was picking the kids up from school, there was definitely some politicking with the parents. Even Molly,
Right.
the PTA mom, the enemy, she gives Nora a job saying, oh, yeah, well, this is good if you're going to be around, because they're going to do Oliver Twist.
Right.
And her son so badly wants, a big role in it. And so it's interesting to look at because I look at some of my friends who have older children, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of politics that go on at school with the moms. And
Sure.
it just, it's crazy to see that even after you grow up yourself and now your child is in school, you kind of go
Yeah.
through the same thing again, which you very much read here.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right.
How would
Brutal.
you handle that if you were Nora and Molly's there and she's
Oh,
on
I
you
feel
and
bad. I'm like, listen, what we're not gonna do. I got bullied my whole middle school. What we're not gonna do is have my son's middle
oh,
school also be a bullying situation. So you can just
don't you mess with Molly. So they arrive back home. It's Nora, her kids, like you said, they meet the big actor. And it's so funny because she's like, I'm so excited to get home. It's 6 p.m. I want Wheel of Fortune. I want my white
right.
wine and I want my crossword puzzle, or just the things that make her happy in life. And I was like, that is so relatable. Instead, she gets this famous movie star who's sitting there and he's doing her crossword puzzle. And she said that this day was Wednesday and that's her favorite crossword puzzle day because it's not too hard and not too easy, which I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
she
Sweetheart.
knows what she likes. It's fine. But he's sitting there doing it. And so even her kids know and they're kind of looking like, oh God,
Right.
what are you doing, Leo?
Right.
This is
Right. And he's drinking her beer, doing her crossword. So he's kind of
yes,
made himself comfortable in her home.
yes, yes.
And
And
she
so she goes,
Brad Pitt.
yeah, true, true. So she's kind of letting it slide and she continues to go on, cook, make her meatloaf. And he comes up and he starts watching in disgust. This guy
Yeah.
can't
Real
even
judge.
fathom.
Right.
Very judgy. I'm like, bro, take it back a notch. Why are you
I feel like he was maybe a child star because a lot of the he can't conceptual like I don't care how famous you get later on in life, you still know how to grocery shop. So like I feel like maybe he was like a Shia LaBeouf or something, just never had to figure out how to do anything.
that big? Because when she was even saying, yeah, he helped me to bring the groceries from the car to the porch and he didn't really seem like he knew what he was doing. I'm like,
Are you a
guy.
human? Are you a normal
Dude,
human
do we
man?
lift weights ever? He has abs clearly, so he must work
Apparently, yeah,
out.
he's crazy six pack, so he's
Yeah.
obviously good at doing
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. I also noticed too, as we started reading on, she kept mentioning how youthful and young his face was, which I feel like even though he is 40, and again, that's still young, he is so carefree because he's never had to have any accountability. He has no children. And so that just kind of kept coming through. We end that chapter. His assistant comes to get him for reshoots and he's freaking drunk. They're like, great, great, great. This is great. And Nora is basically just like, let's move on. Let's get this guy out of here.
Yeah, correct. Which, do you buy that?
By what?
Do you buy that she doesn't want this
No,
situation?
no, absolutely not. I think from the very beginning, the reason that she smoothed her hair out and actually did a blowout is because she knew this major celebrity was there. And imagine if this were you. And of course, it's different because you work in entertainment, you've worked with a lot of people. But even if it's you on the other end and there's a major, major A-lister and they're in your kitchen and they kind of had a little banter with you before, what you gonna do?
Yeah, we're
Are you
gonna
gonna
flirt.
are you gonna let him do your crossword puzzle?
If if Brad Pitt came into my house and started doing my crafts, I'd be pretty stoked. I'm not gonna. I don't know. I would not
Started
have a
playing with your crafts? Is that what you said? You're like, yes, honey. You bedazzle that baby. You get it, Brad. You get it. Okay, on to chapter 2.
yes.
Nora goes to have coffee on the porch and she finds Leo wrapped up in in a duvet and he's sleeping and she goes, he's looking breathtakingly handsome, but there's half an empty bottle of tequila next to her. And
Her tequila.
Yeah, tequila, which we find out. Oh, wait, that's another alcohol. He likes to drink a lot, is what we find out as we continue reading, right?
Correct.
And that he smells like their dad, which is how they knew that he got into his scotch later. It's fine. It was his expensive scotch. Those kids, they pick up on everything. They start filming, though, and then they call Nora over. And Naomi cannot conceptualize that her character is not reacting to Leo's character leaving her. You know, there's no screaming, no begging, no fighting.
Really
And
interesting to me that she had such a big problem with that. And I love, golly, I just think it's so much more interesting to watch an actor try not to cry than it is to watch an actor cry. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but her not being able to conceptualize, her not yelling, or like her being very stoic in her reaction to her husband leaving her that's a really interesting choice.
it's so much more powerful, in my opinion, to see even if someone wants to cry, but they don't allow themselves to cry because they're going to hold that back. And this made me feel like the actress just was kind of making it about her, and she wanted to be able to, you know, utilize crying, yelling, whatever, even though I think it's way more powerful not to.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that is, I don't know. That kind of thing would leave me speechless. Do you agree that there are two types of actors? There are actors who are in the moment. They're there to make other actors react, maybe do it differently every time, whatever it is. You want to get a reaction out of your partner in front of you. But then there are other actors who will just do it the same way every time. They're just doing it for them selfishly, which is kind of how I feel like Naomi is.
Great way to explain that. Yes, I think the secret to acting is that you're not really acting, you're just reacting to what the other person is telling you, right? And I think, but listen, Hollywood attracts a lot of narcissists, a lot of big fish in small ponds that all come to LA to try and be a big fish in a big pond. And so not a lot, but some of the times you get a scene partner where it's like, I could be opposite you, or it could be a brick wall opposite you, and you're not going to change anything that you're doing. So yeah, I always try and I can only speak for myself, but I try and throw all kinds of different shit at you all the time. Just to see if you're paying attention, see if you're listening, see if you're, and some actors that freaks them out, and they go, I need you to do it at the same time every time because I can't. And I'm like, oh, okay, you can't play ball? All right, bet.
Molly Burnett, ladies and gentlemen.
Acting is a game. We're having fun.
Of course. You're playing.
Yes, you're playing pretend, and you're, you take it seriously, but we're not fucking rocket scientists. Just like, relax. But
whereas why I believe it comes down to ego, and Naomi seems like it's more ego-based, that she's asking this question for her selfishly, thinking, I want the tears, I want the anger. And it's like, nah, girl, like, take it how it is and make that powerful, because it's going to hit even more if you do it in that sense.
Nora breaks down her quote-unquote meet cute with Ben, and we find out Ben was kind of a self-important with no reason to be self-important. And she goes, I've never met you. And to which she responds, I'll bet you've never met a lot of people. And he goes, no, I've met everybody.
I do want to ask you, because back to the conversation where Naomi said that to her and was like, why would you make her react in this way? Yeah. And Nora wonders the chain of events that led to her being questioned by the two biggest celebrities trying to explain her emotional response to abandonment. And then this happens. Naomi goes, what the fuck? Good thing Naomi's not my therapist. It's the classic self-correcting problem. If someone leaves you, it's because they didn't want to be with you. All you lost was someone who didn't want to be there anyway. Leo laughs. Jesus, you're not much of a romantic, are you? I am not at all. I believed in marriage at any cost until that moment. Then I just let go. I tell him, and to Naomi, you're not a victim here or anywhere. That's what this whole movie is about. Everyone's silent until finally Naomi starts to cry. Martin hugs me and Leo mutters, oh, for Christ's sake. Which, again, Naomi, that felt so selfish. Like, I know this is a lot for her to take in, but she is just sharing.
Not just being human, Naomi.
You said it, not me. Which is what Leo later said.
Yeah.
She's cute, but she's like a little mean. Or even
Right.
Bernadette goes, she looks
She's a mean
mean.
girl. She's a mean girl.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
giving girl. Naomi's giving. Listen, not having any reaction to somebody leaving you without any context, I guess you could find, like a, come on, say something, be in your power. But if you've been
Right.
so beat down by somebody and they leave, part of you is relieved. Like, go, get out of here.
Of course. And think of all those years of her supporting him and him not adding any value. He's not even, it doesn't even seem like he's adding value to the family and helping out. It seems like she's doing everything, so much so that he used to say to her in the morning when they're all having breakfast, refill, refill on his coffee, and she'd come over and do it. And later we watch and we see where she sees Leo, who stayed over, and in the beginning she goes, refill, and it's a question, not a statement, because the kids have never seen that. And I was like,
Right.
what a difference. So for Nora, she's like, guys, this was no problem. I was happy he was out. Sure, sad because you have children and you built a life, and that's devastating. And then so at the end of this chapter, we come back. Nora picked up the kid. She sees Leo. He's drinking amber liquid. Bernadette says, you smell like my dad, which is what we were talking about before.
Right.
And he mentions that he can't wait to get back to civilization. And that triggers Nora. She doesn't like that comment that Leo, this big superstar, is, like, then get out of here. Why are you staying here, bro? It's last day. Everyone says goodbyes, and Bernadette gives Leo a hug again because Bernadette kind of is vibing with little Leo. It's really cute. And she says he now smells like Uncle Rick, and
Gin.
that's because that's Jen. It's like, this kid is on to something.
Which, fun fact, I can't drink gin because when I was younger, that was the first drink that I ever tried, and I was so sick the next day, and it was Christmas. And I was like, I feel like I was throwing up like Christmas trees because gin has that piney taste.
Can't do it. That's me with cranberry vodka. It's my birthday. Got a table at a club with my girlies.
At a table at a club. Chapter 3. Nora is woken up because Wheezy's freaking out. Leo's missing. Typical self-absorbed actor, not worried about anybody else, who has to wrangle him in. Like, this guy's, ugh. Anyway, so Nora and Wheezy are trying to figure out where he is. She looks in the tea house. She looks everywhere. She can't find him. And then she goes outside and she sees he's on her swing in his little, like, sleeping bag situation.
Little toupee.
Totally made himself at home. Yeah, exactly. His little toupee cover.
You're like, guy.
So he's just here now, and he's, stepping into her world. She makes him breakfast. She makes everybody breakfast. So she's already going into caretaker mode, right? Because she's so used to being the caretaker of everybody. Now she's got another child, obviously with Leo in, and she cooks for everybody. She only has 3 English muffins. She sacrifices herself because this is what women like this do. We just, like, handle whatever we got to handle. Drops her kids off at school. She comes back and he says, let me stay with you for a week. I got to get out of the city. I'll pay you with $1,000 a day. And she starts thinking about what $7,000 would do for her. Like, she could fix the gutter. She could pay off her tax. Like, $7,000 is a lot of money for her. And nothing for Mr. MBA owner. So she begrudgingly agrees.
Now, low-key, is she excited?
I'm low-key. She's
Right.
Come on.
Like,
Once again,
yeah, girl.
Like, I stay at your house for a week. I'd be like, yeah.
Come meet me in the tea house.
Yeah. What? That camera in the corner? Oh, it doesn't work. Don't worry about it. Just ignore it.
So yeah, he's staying there, and they have this thing where they always watch the sunrise together. And there is a moment where they were outside, and Bernadette, her daughter, was chatting with them, and he's like, yeah, do you think it'll be here tomorrow? And she goes, yeah, it's always here. And meanwhile, it was her son. They're like, you can see the sunrise everywhere. But they have this cute little thing where they all like to sit and watch the sunrise together. But there was a moment, she agrees Leo can stay in the house 7 days, 6 nights. And then she has to go on errands because she's decided that the writing is shot. She's never going to be able to, like, sit and get in the zone. And the common theme every day, he keeps saying, can I go with? And she's thinking, Oh God. And she's like, okay. So she's a little excited, but then she starts going through her garage and she goes, oh my gosh, like I'm kind of embarrassed that the superstar is going through my messy garage, my dirty car, you know, it's sticky, there's
Yeah.
juice boxes, it's crazy. And he gets in the car and he goes, earthy. Oh, Leo. So he was being cute.
He's begged her to join at everything. But I
Yes.
did, there was one he asks her when she's trying to figure out why he wants to stay. He goes, have you ever felt like you're disappearing? And so he's obviously having like a little bit of some kind of existential crisis with there's a lot of hollowness in Hollywood. Her to start running errands. And I was very proud of her because she could have taken the Whole Foods turn or she could have taken the shop and
I
stop.
know. And she went to Shop and Stop because you know why? She didn't want another man to put her into credit card debt.
I know
Yes,
that's
Nora,
right.
go off,
I know
queen.
that's right.
And so they get there, and obviously he's being recognized, you know, and they go into the naturally, and he plays along well. He really is a good sport, but
Handles it like
kind
a
of
champ. Not his first time.
yeah, no, not at all. And so they go into the fruit section and or produce, and you kind of start hearing that this is where a lot of drama in the town goes on. Like people gossip, you find out
Yeah.
about scandals.
Love it.
And when they're in there, she calls out, hey, that's the smolder that you did in one of your movies. And he goes, which one? And she tells him, and he goes, that's creepy. You know
It is.
that.
We didn't need to tell him that. We could have kept that one close to the chest.
She's
I don't
like,
think we-
what? What's creepy that you recycle movie smiles? And he goes, no, that you notice.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Well, I agree with Leo on this. Weird. We keep that to
Like-
yourself.
some things we don't say out loud. Sometimes we keep in our inner dialogue. And he is so shocked at the low prices. He can't believe the price of the bananas. And then Nora runs into Anita Wallingford, who is asking questions about Ben, her ex.
And she's like a super mean girl. She's
the
makes
worst.
everything about herself. So she gets butthurt that she had to find out through somebody else that Ben and Nora broke up. And Nora was like, wait, hold on. You're upset that I'm going through a divorce and I didn't tell you? But then Leo steps in like a motherfucking champ and he grabs her arm and you know, plays along that they're dating. And I love when a mean girl gets their comeuppance.
It's such a sweet, like sweet revenge. Just, oh yes. So yeah, he's playing off that he's been busy with Nora. Then Leo goes, who is Ben?
Right.
And she goes, oh, Ben is Trevor. That's who you're playing. Right. So now he's putting the pieces together and he asks, oh, are you Ruthie? And she's like, you know, to an extent, yes. And then he's like, badass.
Yeah, badass. From that reaction with Nora where she's like, I feel like I need to cry and fight for him. She's like, we're not fighting for anything. We're done with him. And
That's
so
right.
Leo blocked that, brings it back, and calls her a badass, which I loved. But
Yeah.
he can't conceptualialize the price of bananas. It's just absolutely
No.
bananas. So
Yes,
obviously
there's-
Leo is cosplaying as a normie for the week. And what a journey this will be for him.
So he starts helping her bring the groceries in. As mentioned, he doesn't really know how to do it. Okay.
man.
And she giddily is texting her friends saying that he's staying for the week. And meanwhile, Leo has his clothes sent, his assistant sent them, and lobster bisque delivered from his favorite restaurant in New York
From
City.
Manhattan.
First of all, don't
What
trust that
poor
creamy
Uber
soup.
driver- thank you, but what poor bastard had to drive that up from Manhattan? You better have tipped him
Right? Right?
so
Yes.
well.
So well. And so Nora goes, oh, go eat that in your tea house.
And he's like, you're tired of me, aren't you? And she goes, yeah. Nora's going to keep it a buck. But
Yeah.
Bernadette is stoked, right?
Yeah.
Arthur is hesitant. Bernadette is stoked on this.
Oh, yeah.
Nora gets her kids, brings them back to the crib, getting ready to, you know, make dinner. And they're all sitting at dinner, and Arthur is freaking out because he's got to learn his lines for Oliver Twist. And
Yes.
luckily, he has the best actor in the world.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And
So-
that's so sweet because he wants to actually help him.
Yeah. Well, he
but
does. But yeah, he says, don't ever become an actor, which I cannot tell you. When I first moved to LA and I would take meetings with whoever would meet with me, anybody, like 98% of them are like, don't do this career. It sucks. Go home. Blah, blah, blah. Like they've clearly been chewed up and spit out in this town.
Right. Right.
Somebody that is mentally ill like me that wants to be an actor, no matter what, like
let them go.
You could tell me, literally, you couldn't tell me shit. I was gonna go do it. So it's the irony of this famous actor being like, don't do it. Like there's a little bit of a, but he softens and he decides to help him out teaching because obviously Nora doesn't have very great acting skills.
Oh, yes. They were joking so much. They were dogging on her. And she loved it, though, because she's like, the kids aren't crying. They're laughing. This is good. And then Leo, joins in. He's poking fun at her. And when she has him helping, Leo helping with the lines with Arthur, Nora has this moment of, oh, my gosh, it's so nice to have help. Yeah. So nice not to be doing this alone. And I was like, what an interesting moment for her that the person helping is this big famous movie star. It's not even someone she's dating. It's just by the chances. Like, what are the chances that this would happen? And he's actually cool.
Now, if we zoom out and look at this through like a quote unquote logical eye, her letting this man that she's never met to stay in her house with her children, probably not. Right.
Not great.
Something weird happens when somebody's famous. They get away with more stuff that they shouldn't just because you've seen them on television. That doesn't make them a good person. Yeah. It doesn't mean they are going to be great with your kiddos.
No, and she also kind of mentions this too, where she's like, I didn't even ask the kids, is this okay? And there's a stranger in my house. You got to be careful these days. Who's staying in your house and what's happening? But at this point, things are going well for them.
Listen, they're living the dream. I just love that she was the butt of everybody's jokes and she was laughing it off. Like, I love when my dad and brother dog on me because it's an act of love.
Yes.
And I'll do the same thing. That's such an endearing thing. So I love that she takes it on the chin and doesn't get butthurt.
She didn't care. No. And then we discover too that Leo had actually played Fagin in Oliver Twist back in the day, which is so sweet because that's the role that and that Arthur, that's the role that he's playing. And Leo also says that he loves a villain. He said he's the best kind of villain. They do something horrible, but we still love them. They get to the core of what it means to be a human being. We are both light and dark.
Bingo.
So that kind of gave me just a little more depth into who he is, that he could even come up with a thought like that. You know? Yes.
Well, there's obviously that. And here's the thing. If you're very successful in the entertainment world, whatever that is, you're a lot smarter than people give you credit for. It's so hard to break in. Your tenacity, your work ethic, your intelligence, your ability to shine in a room, your ability to make conversation in a room. Like, you're a smart cookie if you have notoriety in the entertainment world. And if Leo is as big of a star as they're saying, that doesn't happen just because of luck. You bust your ass to get to that level.
That's
now,
right.
You may hate it once you're at the top. That's a whole nother thing. But he's obviously quite intelligent. But one of the things he says when he talks about don't do acting is this is also some good insight into Leo's psyche. Because I love all of the stuff going on up here.
Yeah.
Arthur says he has to learn his lines for the play he's in, and Leo says don't do it. If you pretend for your job, eventually you'll stop being anything at all. You'll just be silly putty that you rub in a newspaper. Which is such a bummer to be so jaded in this career that you probably fell in love with at a young age. And it takes 20 years to become a big six. Like, you got to dedicate your whole life to this, right? And it's going to take forever. Yeah. So for him to have that mindset, so he's got to be going through some shit.
Going through it for sure. And it's so funny too, because I feel like anyone who's starting out in that career, of course you think of long term, but you think more of the grass is greener side, like, oh, that'd be so cool, that'd be so fun. But then once you finally hit it and you're there, and this happens with any goal in life, you get used to whatever that is. And then if there's some negative that comes along with it, or just, too much fame, and you lose so much about the normal human experience, that's gotta be tough.
Yeah, if you're not good,
really tough.
It doesn't matter what is out here. So you can have
Yes.
fame, money, notoriety, whatever you want, but if you're fucked up here, it's not gonna
Yep.
matter.
No, I think it's Jim Carrey who said that. He's like, I wish everyone in the world could become rich, famous to realize that that is not the answer to your problems.
While I agree, only a rich and famous person can say that.
It'd make it easy. My life would
Yeah,
be fucking
yeah.
banging.
It's low key giving Gail King when she came back down from her space trip, her 7 minute space trip, being like, you won't get it until you've been to space. Well, ma'am, most of us
Girl.
won't go to space. So it's easy to say, I wish everybody were rich and famous
I
because then
know
you
you
really,
guys are trying to promote tourism for space, but 250,000 per seat, we don't all have that.
that whole thing was cringy AF. So
So
uncomfortable to watch.
crazy. I can't even talk about. Hey, speaking
Well,
of,
and
Orlando Bloom and Katy Perry just broke up, and I wasn't shocked. Do you
can't.
know that when she was asked who was the best man she's ever been with, she said John Mayer, and she was with Orlando Bloom at this point. And I'm like, girl, you can't say that if you're with Orlando Bloom.
I mean, you can, but it's a weird thing to say.
You cannot say that. But they
Well,
broke
I
up,
think
so
she's a perfect example of somebody who's gotten so famous they're just absolutely out of touch. And it's the really, really out of
yes.
touch famous people that give us normie actors a bad rap, right? Because we're not like that. We're not.
Nope.
But
Nope.
if we're fighting for the good, for the universe, for the world, we're not just dumb actors doing it. But the
Yep.
Katy Perry's give us a bad rap.
Well, do you recall back when COVID happened and there was this big viral video of all of these actors, famous A-listers singing Imagine? And everyone's like, guys,
You
our lives are falling apart and you guys are singing along or
from
singing.
your mansions, from your
Oh,
like in their 12 by 12 apartments, like just trying not to,
oh.
and they're like, imagine all who Gal Gadot, bye, goodbye. Oh my God, so annoying.
You know what, though? Social media will promote or expose you. Learn a lot about people in the public eye and go, oh,
Yes,
God. Or you go, oh,
yes.
gosh, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Which is something that is tough as an entertainer because when I fell in love with acting, I did not think that the social media element would be a part of it. I'm actually quite shy. I don't like being the center of attention. That's why I rarely post because I'll do a story, I'll talk about sports or whatever,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get anxiety because I don't necessarily, so what did I decide to do? I decided to join you with a podcast where you learn all about me.
I'm like, Molly, we got this, girl. Everyone needs a crazy bestie with crazy ideas to bring them and say, let's go, girl.
Lean in. We're leaning in. We're leaning in. But this gives me anxiety. Letting you, the listener, into my world when we don't know each other and it's a parasocial relationship, it gives
Yep.
me anxiety. And it can cause, I've had to deal with some interesting folks
Yeah.
around, just
That think
because.
they know you because they see you on TV, and that's
Mhm.
quite interesting. That I can imagine. So hearing that and then kind of seeing too what Leo deals with and how
Yeah,
he's going through all of this crazy stuff,
yeah,
you kind of go, huh.
yeah.
You kind of can have a little bit more empathy for it.
Right. Then we find out, a ding, 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 his mom is dead. So we're 3 for 3 now. I guess, listen, that must be the trope, is that we got dead moms.
Girl, when I read that, I literally sighed and I go,
It's okay. Here, what it really shows is just how important moms are. Because when a
uh-huh.
mom goes, the heartbreak and the trauma around that is so palpable, it's easier to write.
Yep.
So it's a beautiful concept that the
Yeah.
the pain of losing your mom creates all these beautiful stories. My guess is
Yeah.
maybe Lily lost her mom and she wanted to cathartic
Oh.
get that out. I don't
Well,
know, but
and also too, I found it interesting that he lost his mom and then Nora, for the first time, we're reading a book where she is a mom of two, and that plays a really big part in the story. She's
yeah.
not just this single woman in her 30s. She's got two, pretty grown kids. Where are they, 10 and 8? I mean, that's not a baby. So
Right.
I just thought that was like a really cool reflecting moment of her maybe mirroring that back and forth of showing just how special and important Nora is to her children. She's the glue holding her family together. And it very much seems like Leo was close with his mother because
Yeah. Now,
he's
what I don't want, the therapist in me doesn't want her to mother this guy because he's looking for
no.
to step into that mother figure because he lost his, and so I don't want her to. But there were two great quotes from this chapter that I love. One was beautiful, where she finds out his mother died, and then she realized what a luxury it is to be single and be able to fall apart in a safe space. When you're super famous like that, you can't really have a blowout, and you've got to be so perfect. So I thought that was really beautiful. And then the second quote of the week was, being in fifth grade is sort of like trying to disable a live bomb. Talking about our kids just having a violent time in fifth grade, and I just thought that was hilarious and incredibly relatable.
Can you imagine going back? I mean, that is so accurate, that quote. It's just chaos. How do you figure any of it out?
Everybody's hormones are starting. Will, my brother, jokes that he's like, he just woke up one day and he just started moving different. He's like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but something's gotta happen. Start moving different.
That
like
is
changes.
Funny. Yeah.
Boobs, we're bleeding, men, or there's all kinds of shit going on.
Yep.
So
Yep.
trying to figure out in the world, it's a shit show of a time. So I love disabling a bomb. I thought that was hilarious. Then we get to chapter 5.
Yes.
Nora and Leo go on a little small town journey.
They live in Laurel Ridge is the name of the town, which is so cute.
Adorable.
I love that.
Very small town. Is like one block of shops. So they go to the shops. They go to the grocery store. Leo gets, breads and jellies and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And then they go to like a houseware store. And I thought that this was so funny. She said, Nora said that Leo gives her house a Pretty Woman moment. So he's buying like new towels and new silverware and all these new things. He's like, just let me do it. So she does. Good for her.
Yeah, which I like that, because at first she objected and he goes, please just let me.
Right.
Honey, you need this. You need new towels, girl. You cannot give me a gray towel that used to be white. Oh, because by the way, he is now going to be using her restroom upstairs.
Yes. Right.
That's kind of why they're doing this, because the night before he's like, look, love you guys, but I can't really go to the bathroom outside in the woods much longer. And so she's like, all right, kids, you guys will stay with me in my bathroom. Meanwhile, he's going to be showering across from the bedroom that she sleeps. So she's kind of freaking out a little bit.
She's like, Leo's naked in my bathroom at least once a day.
Yes. And she's kind of showing moments very early on where she's interested. So he goes and he buys her all of this stuff. And I'm curious to you, what role do you feel that this town is playing in the story so far? Because they continue to go back to the small town. She first brings him to the Stop and Save, and he's meeting the people, and now they're going to like the bookstore and this store where he's buying her a lot of stuff. But do you feel any sort of way about that?
Yeah, I think that the setting of a really sweet small town is very romantic. So I think you're taking this big city boy that's used to opulence, and you're throwing him in this little tiny town where everybody knows each other and everybody's trying to make ends meet, and there's just a very sweet, homey quality to it.
Yeah. Well, and we learned too that she usually writes for the Romance Channel or Romance Network,
which he made fun of her for.
Of course he did.
One, we all got to make money. Two, what's wrong with the Romance Channel? Okay?
We love the Romance Channel. Give it to me. And she made a comment to him where there's a very specific, formula that she follows writing the script that makes it very easy. And she, at the end of it, was saying, yeah, usually the guy will leave and then he almost always comes back. And I was like, ooh, for this book where he's going to have that moment to leave and then he's going to come back and they're going to have that.
Yeah, for sure. He's going to dip and come back. They planted that. So we know that. Now, how execution. Well, but then chapter 5 ended and that was it. And I was texting you like, I want to keep reading. She really, this author, Annabel Monaghan, is doing such a beautiful job. Yeah. It's a mature woman she's writing about. It's a mature man. It's like it's like our generation. So the jokes land with us because, we're that generation.
Yeah.
So excited for next week.
Me too. I thought it was so refreshing, and I love too at the very end that she deep down was like, I want him to know that I'm over Ben. I don't want him to come back. So that's kind of letting the audience know, like, her heart's open. She's ready to go. So next week we are going to do chapters 6 to 10, and I know we're going to just speed through this because it has been such a breezy, great read, and I'm loving every second of it. So I can't wait to see what happens next. Well, love our bunchies so much. Thanks for hanging out, chatting, gossiping, talking, giggling, all the good things. And next week, chapters 6 through 10 of Nora Goes Off Script. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week.